What is going on, everybody? Zapnatik here, welcoming you to our first round analysis. We have completed a round in the gaming world. This has nothing to do with what's going on in real life, in the real NHL. Heck, the first round hasn't even started for us, and we're already done with the first round. So what we're going to be doing for you real quick is I'll insert some highlights in here, hopefully, from each game as we talk about them. We're just going to go through, say our thoughts on our first game, who we sort of expected to win, and walk on through it and then preview the next round for you, so it should be not too long of a video. We're going to start it out here with Anaheim Nashville. That game was won by the Ducks by TheeWandell 3-2, even though Zapnatik had a 2-0 lead after the first, I believe. I'll jump right into my thoughts really quickly. I thought I had that game in the bag, and then Anaheim just took over. That's all I can say from that game. What about you?
Yeah, that was a really intense start to the period. I mean, you got two quick ones in the first, and I was looking a little bleak for the Ducks, but I turned on the Jets there in the second and third and started out shooting you, and then it ended up with the final score. The Ducks took it.
Yep, so the Ducks advanced to the next round from that. Pretty straightforward. That was a great comeback win, though. LA and San Jose. San Jose takes that by a score of 3-2, and that game was back and forth, if I remember correctly. A lot of big hits, big boys in that game. There were quite a few good collisions. My thoughts on losing that game were I expected to win that game, to be honest, and just couldn't come out on top. I put a lot of pressure on you everywhere, laid the body, and it just didn't work out for me in the end.
Yep. Well, for the Sharks side of things, it's a team that I enjoy watching all season long. They've got a lot of good veteran players. You know, the goalie controversy of watching Martin Jones be amazing at the beginning of the season, then kind of medium throughout, and then they got Reimer later on. I feel like they're going to make a really solid playoff push in real life, and thankfully they get to continue in our version here too.
Couldn't agree more. The Dallas-Minnesota game was the shocker for me. Coming into that game, that was a 4-1 Wild win, by the way. Coming into that game, and even past the first period, right at the end of the first, I thought I could just cruise. I might have just put cruise on too much, even though I outshot the Wild 30-10. It was somewhere in that range. Dubnyk stood on his freaking head. I could not get any sort of puck past him. I ran into a wall of Dubnyk. I believe I referred to it in the game like that. Just a shocker for me using the Stars and losing that one. How about Minnesota's performance?
I mean, it was kind of stated best whenever you said it just like that. Early on in the first, Dubnyk let one by, and then you were like, oh, Dubnyk needs to wake up here, and I think he listened to you because he just shut you out the rest of the game, and it was unreal how much power he had over that game. I mean, Minnie moves on in a surprising shocker, I think, but still, I mean, a solid, well-played game from their perspective.
Oh, yeah. Dubnyk could have been much better in that game. Moving on to St. Louis, Chicago. St. Louis took that one 3-1. I feel like this series in real life could go either way, but in this game, I felt outplayed, just outdone using the Blackhawks. I didn't feel like I had it in this game. Something was missing, whether it was goaltending, the extra rebound chances I couldn't get, just couldn't end up in the back of the net for me against Bill Elliott, as we call him. But from the St. Louis point of view,
yeah, pretty much the same thoughts as I was having as far as how real life is going to go. It's going to be kind of a toss-up. These players and these teams have met in the playoffs a couple times now, and it's going to be pretty historic as far as what's actually going to happen. I mean, that game came down closer to the wire. I got one, I think, at the start of the third, and then you were pushing really hard and pulled the goalie, and I tucked the empty netter in, but St. Louis moves on, and we'll see what happens from there.
Right. As we bring it over to the Eastern Conference now, if you haven't watched any of these games, you should go at least check out some highlights from them, skip through them, see what you can find in them. Florida and New York Islanders. I was the Panthers in this one, and it's another loss for me. This was sort of our first game. It was more of a feeling out game. I was getting used to the settings, the new sliders. Couldn't really beat Halak, though. That game actually ended 2-1 for the Islanders. That was about as even as they come for this matchup with the feeling out process. How about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Getting used to the controls, got to be super accurate with your passes, and We got the Islanders through that one. I don't know how this is going to go in real life. It's going to be interesting to see how Florida does in the postseason. They've definitely got some veteran players that can lead them the right way. We know Yager's been there several times, but they got some young up-and-comers that are going to get their first playoff experience. It's going to be an electric atmosphere in Florida for sure, so that's going to be awesome.
Can't agree more with that either. As we move it down to Tampa Bay, Detroit, this was the comeback game for me. This was absolutely unbelievable. I can't say enough about how Tampa Bay performed, even though I got to use Stamkos and Johnson. Right? I was thinking Callahan. That's not right. Johnson is in this game. Maybe not in real life after that hit. But the effort was so real at the end. I felt down and out, but I pushed at the very end and made the comeback to tie it up. Took that one in overtime against the Red Wings in an absolute stunner. Can't say enough about how well Bishop performed at the end either.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those sentiments there. I mean, as far as how real life is going to go, these teams have met a couple times in the recent years, and Detroit extending their playoff streak, which, I mean, it's something to be said as far as a team and how they carry themselves and what they do. Got some good veteran players that may retire at the end of the season, so it's going to be interesting to see what they're doing, make their final push potentially. You know, and as far as how our game went, definitely one of the most exciting ones from the first round. If you haven't watched that yet, go back and watch it, fan or not. It's going to be a good one, especially those last couple minutes. The call is unreal. So, yeah, we see Tampa Bay moving on there.
Yeah. Moving down to Washington, Philly. This game, I don't even know if TheeWandell wants to do an analysis on this. Washington jumped out. They had control for a lot of this game. Sort of as expected in real life, but you really never know with Philly. They can come right back on you. Come out of nowhere from my perspective. I did experience a late push from Philly in the game, but I overall felt like Washington is just the team to beat in the East right now. They are the beast with the players they have, the goaltending in Holtby. They're just unstoppable, and using them sort of confirmed my thoughts about that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those thoughts there as far as how Washington was playing really well. I mean, they are the team to beat for sure. That's definitely obvious. I mean, I went in and edited the lines basically to as exact as they are that I could find, which may have been a mistake, possibly putting in Gostisbehere as a 72 overall in the game. Obviously doesn't show his real-life performance. He's been electric for us. Definitely one of the main reasons why we're even in the postseason. And you made an excellent point. Who knows what's going to happen in the first round? The Capitals have some history of carrying in the President's Trophy and not doing much with it. Philly's a tough team. We took 2 from them this year so far, so we'll see what happens. I was definitely disappointed with the outcome in the game, but, I mean, we're moving on. I'm a fan above all else, so I just want to see how this thing totally plays out. And, you know, I'm kind of over the loss now, I guess, but we'll see what happens in real life. I'm still banking on them, so...
Yep. And quite the opposite from that is the Penguins-Rangers game, where I'm the Pittsburgh fan that does move on. And this game, there are no words to describe this game other than brick walls and net. And somebody found a hole in that brick wall, and it happened to be me. And it wasn't a very big hole, but I ended up doing that. That game went to triple overtime, 1-0. That's an unbelievable game. It's probably my longest upload, but if you want to go check it out, definitely go ahead and do that. From the Pittsburgh point of view, this game was the hardest fought game I've ever played in an actual game, like gaming in general. Any game, I've never pushed so hard. I thought I was going to break one of my thumbsticks at one point, or my thumb. Lundqvist, unbelievable. Fleury, unbelievable for the Penguins. Looking from just the Penguins' point of view, they're a great team. They're hot. They're going into the playoffs on quite the run right now. There's just not much else that can be said for them. They're on a hot streak and hopefully just run over the Rangers in real life for me.
Yeah, to continue along that same thought, Pittsburgh looking very, very solid at the end of the season, carrying in 14 out of their last 16 games. They're going to match up against a really solid Rangers team who has great playoff experience. That's going to be a great series to watch. Me being a Philly fan, I'm still going to tune into a couple of those games. I definitely want to see how that turns out and see what it means for the next round. If Philly gets through, we could see a Philly-Pittsburgh second rounder, which you know is going to be good.
Oh,
otherwise with that, I mean, playing as the Rangers in the game, they're a solid team. They have really fast skaters. They have really powerful guys. I found it really interesting that it was back and forth in 0-0 up until the third overtime. He found an opening and tucked one in. It was unreal. Definitely one of the best games I've ever played in as well. I mean, I'm glad that we could get that uploaded. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. That's one of our best for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic in the making. Just your overall thoughts from the first round real quick.
This has been fantastic so far. I mean, definitely one of the best things that I've been able to be a part of, but not only that, just looking around, you know, to see what others have been doing with this game and the kinds of things that we came up with idea-wise. This has been so much work to put in to get this going the right way. To finally see it come in piecing together is just awesome, and like I'm so stoked to be a part of this. We're going to get this done hopefully before the entire playoffs are complete, and it's going to be something to look back on and be like stoked about, proud about. This is awesome. I'm so happy.
You literally took the words right out of my mouth. I have nothing else to add on to that. I can't, like, the only thing I can say from that is the amount of work put into this was unreal. Like, the amount of time it took to get these teams in GM connected where they need to be, and just like me telling myself in the back of my head that this is going to be epic, this is going to be awesome, like this is a whole nother NHL playoffs that people can actually come to YouTube and watch. It's something that nobody else has really done to this extent that I know of. I don't look around, I may be wrong, so bash me in the comments if I am. But from here on out, we are going to move to the quarterfinals, or the conference semifinals as they call it. Looking at the West first, we got Anaheim, who just moved on from Nashville, facing up against the Sharks, who are moving on from LA. You're going to be the Sharks in this one. I'm going to be the Ducks. How do you feel about the Sharks' chances in this?
I mean, I really like the Sharks as a team. We kind of talked about that a little bit already coming out of the West Coast there. I love to see underdogs do stuff, especially in this case. I mean, a lot of solid West Coast teams, they just came in as a lower seed, so I consider them a bit of an underdog. I'd love to see them make a great push in real life. Obviously, in this game, I'm going to be pushing hard for them to do a good push here.
Yep. And from the Ducks' point of view here, I expect a win. That's all I can say. After the first round game where I was using Nashville and got beat, thought I had a pretty good chance with Nashville, lost. I just expect to take out the lower team again and keep moving on with the Ducks and their heat in this series so far. Moving down to St. Louis, Minnesota. We haven't actually decided this one, but I figured I'd go with the Blues and you'd stick with the Wild, if that's all right.
That's probably what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I've already played as me, so I might as well stick with that.
You did a phenomenal job with the Wild, so any Wild fans out there, stay tuned for that one. That's going to be epic from the Wild's point of view. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's going to be another solid game. I mean, it's going to come down to probably one or two tight goals. If Dubnyk stands on his head like he did before, we could see an epic conclusion to that one. But definitely stay tuned for a matchup like that. That's going to be a real good one.
Oh, yeah. From the St. Louis point of view, we just took out the defending Stanley Cup champs. So as the higher seed, I know this is sort of redundant with the Ducks. You just expect to move on after a series like that and a Game 7 like that. But it's only one game. It's Game 7, and anything can happen. 7. I'm going to pronounce that funny now. 7. So the Blues hopefully taking out the low seed, while the underdogs, they are the true underdogs that made out of the first round here for the entire playoffs in our series, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go over, take a look at Tampa Bay, New York Islanders. I'm going to stick with the Bolts, of course. They are my second favorite team, which is weird because they're out in the East, but that has to do with a secondary rivalry of ours. And they are going to be taking on the Islanders, who took out the Panthers in a 4-1 matchup that was a lot closer than maybe some of you expect, depending on which side you're looking from. But I feel this is going to be a pretty good game. How do you feel about the Islanders?
I definitely think it's going to be a solid matchup. The Isles have great depth throughout all their lines, one of the top hitting lines in the league, including the top ranked hitter. So, I mean, that's definitely going to be a close, grindy matchup. We're going to see some pucks hit the back of the net, and it's going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah, I'm expecting a lot of goals in this one, especially after Tampa Bay's rapid comeback against the Red Wings in the first round. Hopefully they can net some easy against the Islanders, not have to pull through with the comeback win. But me using a healthy Tampa Bay team, I feel it's going to be pretty good on my side. So far, I have the top team for all three of the matchups, and then we move on to the fourth one where I have the lower team. So I'm going to say my point of view first. For this one, with the Pittsburgh Penguins, we got to get lucky. This is going to be a hard matchup. Nobody knows who's going to come out on top. It's going to be the luck of the bounce, how well your goalie performs in that game. Too many variables to tell. I'm just going to call it luck at this point, effort, who wants it more, bounces. It's just a game that cannot be decided before it happens. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, what I'd like to say, looking for the real life perspectives, if it happens to end up going this way where Washington meets Pittsburgh, this is going to be one of the best matchups of the playoffs, getting up to the Cup final. I mean, two very, very solid teams who have proven themselves all season long. Injuries might plague this lineup, unfortunately, for both sides, but we'll have to see where that gets to it when we come to it. I mean, Holtby, definitely a storied season, looking to continue it. We got Ovechkin, top goal scorer of the season, looking to continue that stuff. Crosby and the gang are looking solid, as you would expect, and this could be their year. Who knows? As far as the game is concerned, one word, revenge. I get to take the team that beat me and beat his with it, and I'm totally down for it. Let's do it.
Yep. So I hope you guys enjoyed that analysis of the first round and the preview of the second, and hopefully you'll come check out all four of these Game 7s where we move teams to the conference finals. Who moves on, who goes home, find out next on Zapnatik Gaming.